Hi everyone, my name is Chris. You can find me on my socials as the Baba Duchess. I am a part-time amateur movie critic and horror blogger and a full-time drive-in mutant, and this is my horror channel. Today I'll be talking about The Woman in the Yard, and this one is already proving to be pretty divisive. The story is pretty simple. A woman and her two children and in their home, and a stranger shows up. That's oversimplifying, but that's essentially what the movie is about. You have Danielle Deadweiler as Ramona. She is a mother she's recovering after just having been injured in a car accident that took the life of her husband. You also have her children, the teenage boy Taylor, and the young girl, she's probably about 7, Annie. And one of the strengths of this movie is the cast. Everyone is just amazing. And I really liked that within the first couple of minutes, without really any real dialogue, at least from the children, you really get to know these characters and what they're about. You see Taylor going about his morning. He's taking care of things around the house. He's taking care of the dog. He's taking care of his little sister, making her breakfast. He's trying to get his mom out of bed. And you see him do these things, with a lot of care, but at the same time in that teenage, kind of rankling a little bit. Why do I have to do all this stuff? I want to help my mom because she's injured, but she's also not really being there for us in other ways. So you get that dynamic immediately, and I thought that was just very well done. And that's because of the acting in this. The mother has just been kind of retreating into herself since the accident. Bills aren't getting paid. That's kind of that's a big plot point here. She's just not doing well physically or emotionally. On this particular morning, Taylor is asking Ramona about the power. The power has gone out. And, what are they going to do about it? Is it going to come back on? And Ramona, okay, I'll call them. Well, of course, now everyone's phone is dead. No one's been able to charge their phone. And they all sit down to breakfast, discuss, what their next move is going to be, when they notice a figure sitting in front of their house in a chair, draped head to toe in black. At first it's, who is that? They kind of try to suss out the situation by just, geez, where could she have come from? Did she just wander? Does she need help? So Ramona goes out to speak with her, see what is going on. And what this woman tells her is, today's the day. So Ramona realizes this could be a threat. She gets back into the house. The kids are wondering, what are we going to do? We don't have power. We can't go anywhere because their car is completely wrecked. And then as the day goes by, the woman starts inching closer and closer to the house, presenting more and more of a threat. I know that doesn't seem like much, someone just creeping forward in a chair, but this is very, very effective. And what I will say, aside from the acting, another one of the strengths of this movie is the cinematography. They do a lot with shadow, which is great. You'll have the woman in the yard. That is how she reaches people or threatens people, where you will see the shadow of, say, her fingers reaching out. And through that shadow, she can touch things. She can make things move. That I thought was very effective. So throughout the day, Taylor's trying to figure this out logically. Now, where can I go? What can I do? So he's trying to think this through logically, and Ramona is she's nixing everything. Like, no, you're going to stay here. I'm going to take care of this. That causes, of course, a lot of tension. You have, your normal kind of teenage parent relationship where there can be some friction, but then put this on top of it where, you can see him saying, I'm trying to help you. Why won't you let me, do this? And nope, I'm your parent. I'm going to take care of you. I will handle it. It's fine. Well, it's not fine. As the afternoon wears on, the family realizes that she can reach them, through the use of these shadows. She can actually hurt them. And then you also have this part of the movie, and this is a lot of it in like going from like the second to the third act is you have a lot of what is reality and what is not. So you have the woman in the yard, but you also have a lot of stuff that is going on inside of Ramona's head. This is also where it gets a little bit murky, where, I mean, I understood what was going on, but it just didn't necessarily flow as a story. It just felt, is this leading to something? Are you just trying to establish her mindset? What is going on? So as we move between dream, reality, we don't know Ramona's, thoughts, and also hints dropped by her son, we also do realize that Ramona has been dealing with depression for quite a long time. So we have her depression on top of her trauma. And that really is what this movie is about. And some of this is what has divided people. And normally I don't do spoilers, but for this one, I kind of have to get to really talk about what worked for me and what didn't. But I will put up a card just to say when I'm talking about the spoiler, because I don't want to ruin this for anybody. So you could fast forward through that if you want to. What we are realizing is, like in a lot of movies, things like, Hereditary or The Babadook, those we know deal with trauma. It's very common in horror movies. Sometimes it's done well, sometimes it's not. This one I did think did well. I wasn't really even going to do a full review of this one until I did read a review in Vulture, and not because I disagree with them, but because of what they said. I wanted to kind of expand on that because I thought they were a little unfair. Like, if you think the movie is not good, that's fine. That's not my issue. But what they said about this, saying that, it was a new low for trauma horror, I mean, I don't agree with that, but that's their opinion. But there was one thing in particular that they said that I thought, well, I think you just kind of completely missed what they were doing. And maybe that is the fault of the filmmakers. I don't know. But here's the one bit that I didn't care for what they said. To say that the genre has contributed to stigmatization is something of an understatement. Watch The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, Psycho, or basically any movie by Ari Aster, and you'll find an association between being mentally ill and being dangerous and homicidal. That is not untrue. There is a lot of misinformation, bad science, just bad faith, arguments, laziness. There's been all of that when it comes to depicting mental illness in film. Don't even get me started with equating mental illness with being trans. Don't even get me started on that. There has been the issue of it not being portrayed accurately or fairly or with any sort of sensitivity. What I took issue with in that statement was that they used Ari Aster as an example, because especially that's something he dealt with in Hereditary and Midsommar. And Midsommar, at least in the beginning part of the film, with Danny, like the last half, yeah, the cult has its hooks in her. She's being love bombed. That's not her mental illness. That's something else. But in the beginning of the film, I thought it was portrayed particularly well. Maybe it's because I've had my own struggles. I can relate. I don't know. But I didn't like that part of the article where I'm like, that one was, to me, in my opinion, was unfair to pick out. I thought in that movie it was handled well, and even in Hereditary, I mean, that has almost supernatural elements to it, so that it wasn't supposed to be a statement on mental illness. So, like I said, their statement I do agree with. A lot of the times mental illness is not handled well in movies. It's oversimplified and all that. I don't know. That just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And even with this one, they called this one, a new low. And I didn't think so, but I think that has to do with what is now going to be the spoiler. Because The Woman in the Yard is not just Ramona's grief. It is a manifestation of her ideation to not want to be here anymore. I have to phrase these things this way because YouTube doesn't like certain words. But that's what it is. Today's the day is her telling Ramona, this is the day that you're going to go through with it. You've been thinking about this for so long, and today is the day. I know a lot of people have had issues with this, some feeling maybe it celebrated that decision, which I did not get at all. And again, I'm the kind of person that I've suffered with from anxiety and depression for a very long time. It's something I've dealt with. I know, and those thoughts as well. I understand this issue, and it's different for everybody. I'm not going to say just because I didn't that you won't. But it is also something to be aware of going into a movie like this, because sometimes you just don't want to think about that stuff. And I get that. There are times in your life where you're like, I don't need this movie right now, or ever maybe. So that is the type of themes that we are working with. So also for that to serve as, kind of like a trigger warning, just be aware. I mean, I won't say it wasn't like a bait and switch or anything. Like, I think a lot of us who have seen enough of these movies kind of know where this is going. We know this is going to be trauma. We know that adding that extra layer. I mean, I thought that was an interesting decision. In a way, a brave decision to actually tackle something like that. I mean, could they have handled it better? Maybe, but I didn't really myself have a problem with it. I guess it depends on how you read it. They do leave the ending very, very ambiguously. So to me, for once, I actually kind of took it as the more positive, where now she is accepting this part of her, so she can work through it and move on. I mean, other people read it as she went through with it. So yeah, there's a lot open to interpretation, and you could call that lazy on the part of the screenwriter. That I really couldn't say. I don't mind an ambiguous ending, but you do kind of have to earn that ambiguous ending. So maybe I do wish it was a little more clear. But for me, the pros far outweigh the cons of this movie. Like I said, the acting is really good. I think this movie would not have been nearly as good if, the actors hadn't been what they were, if the cinematography hadn't been what it was, if the directing hadn't been what it was. This was definitely, everyone there was elevating what was on the script, and that made it worth the watch for me. Those were some amazing performances, and I really did like a lot of the cinematography. But it is very heavy. And, yeah, some people might find it, distasteful, or, I mean, in some ways even generic, where, yeah, it's another horror movie about grief and trauma. Don't we have enough of those? And yeah, we probably do. I think this one, like I said, was elevated by the performances and everything that went into it. And this is another release from Blumhouse, which I know a lot of people have been piling on lately. And yeah, their track record, they've been pretty spotty. I know people are probably still not all that happy about, where the Halloween franchise ended up. And then there was the high profile failure of, The Exorcist, which was supposed to be a new trilogy that didn't pan out. I know Night Swim people didn't really care for. That one was okay. I didn't hate it, but I'm like, okay, I get why people don't like it. Or Imaginary, which was, I don't remember much about it. I do remember laughing out loud at something that really wasn't supposed to be funny. So that was my opinion on that. But I'm not gonna jump on the hate train for Blumhouse. I mean, I like that they are doing a lot of horror and just really investing in that. Not all of it's great. Sometimes they do just kind of, it's like throwing spaghetti against the wall, seeing what sticks. That's not always the best method, but to me, this was one of the better ones in a while. Again, the flaws, it gets kind of murky in the middle where they are doing the reality on reality, and I do get that they're kind of setting up what it's like in her mind, but they also don't necessarily make that clear. So there's that. And I mean, there really wasn't a need for an ambiguous ending like that. I mean, unless they really just wanted you to believe that things ended badly and they just didn't want to show it. And I respect not wanting to show it, but then just do it in another way, or just don't do it at all. This Baba Duchess gives it 3 stars. It's worth checking out. I'm glad I saw it, but do be aware it tackles some heavy things and some things that, can be upsetting for people, especially if this is something, you've dealt with. I mean, even if you haven't, it's just, it can just be a hard thing to even talk about, think about. But, especially if this is something, where, you've been there, or someone or lost someone, it can be hard to sit through. I will give this movie some brownie points for the use of Chekhov's penguin. So yeah, let me know what you thought. Like I said, it's been pretty divisive. This was a harder movie to review because I didn't want to say too much in the beginning as to what it's really about, and I will have the part as a spoiler, marked as a spoiler. This one was a little tougher to review, so forgive me if I'm just kind of rambling. There also isn't. It's a pretty bare bones story. And then you get to what it's really about. So tell me what you think. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Either way, let me know. So thank you to everyone who's been leaving me feedback and reaching out, liking, subscribing, all that fun stuff. If you like this, share it with a friend you think might like this. And I will see you in the next one. As always, remember, like what you like, don't be a dick. And with all this weird, crazy stuff we're living through right now, be good to one another. Take one day at a time. Do the best you can.